See if I can get this up here and see if I held this up like this, would they be able to see it? I don't know.
Every
I guess
morning,
I'll be able
every
to tell here
evening,
momentarily.
ain't we got fun?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing? This is Glenn Miller, last of the Boomers, and I'm doing a video today dedicated to Happy Hippy and his 100 subscribers. He's got a contest going on. These contests are fun because basically they give you the outline of what to do, so you don't have to think of things. I've figured that out right off. I don't know for sure how to put links in the comments below. I'm sure I'll figure that out here pretty quick. If somebody can give me a clue as to where to get it, that would be great. But if not, I'll figure it out. And Happy Hippy, the Vinyl Guy, is his complete channel, and so I recommend you check him out. See if we can boost that 100 subs. I've got a little helper here. Let me see if I can bring him up. Come on, Timmy. Come here. Well, evidently he's not going to come up right now, but I've got a 8-month-old sheepadoodle, half sheepdog, half poodle, that I'm pretty proud of, and he's kind of insistent on keeping me company here, so maybe he'll get in the shot in a minute. Maybe you'll hear him breathing heavy or something, which he's doing right now. Anyway, let me go on with the show. So Happy Hippy asked a bunch of questions about concerts, and it's actually a pretty easy one for me to do. Oh, and I should say this first guy I'm going to talk about, although it's my favorite concert, what made me think about it and went, man, I got to do this entry today, is that it's Gil Scott-Heron, who's my favorite concert by far. And if you know anything about Gil Scott, having him honored at all on Martin Luther Day is very appropriate. He was what they used to call jazz poet. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2011. Very politically motivated, and honestly, I don't know if he'd be more Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, but he's certainly in that same genre and was very active during all the protests and so on. In fact, the thing I remember most, or the song I remember most about from him, well, there's two. There's This Time We Almost Lost Detroit and The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. But this was a concert, like so many of them that I've seen were, because I was working and I was the sound guy, and it was incredible. When he took the stage, there was just this instant hush. They were all focused. This was not a concert where the musicians were wandering around on stage. And it was absolutely silent in the audience, I think, the whole time they were playing. Probably much to the chagrin of the bar owner who actually had them there. I don't imagine he sold all that much liquor that day, but for those of us watching, it was fantastic. So next one is, what was the most disappointing show you ever went to? Now this almost crosses over to which one I went furthest to see. Certainly it's the one I paid the most to see, and it definitely was the most disappointing I saw by far. And that is ZZ Top. I decided it was new to coming back to motorcycling, and I saw that ZZ Top and Bob Dylan were playing in Sturgis that year. Sturgis isn't all that far from us, about 360 miles, 370, something like that. I'd never been. I was excited about motorcycling, and when I saw ZZ Top, who I'd never seen and really liked quite a bit, and then Bob Dylan, who of course is, an all-timer that I hadn't seen yet up until that time, it was kind of a no-brainer, and I got tickets to both of them and was really, really excited. They were playing at this particular campground called the Buffalo Chip, and I decided to camp there. They had kind of a package deal where I got camping and the tickets for the concert and so on all in one. Well, Buffalo Chip as a name, camping. Basically, you're camping where buffalo might have tread, and there's rocks and cactus, and it was a miserable place. And I got there late enough; there wasn't a decent place to camp. I have since then decided that my days of camping on the ground are way behind me. Even though I went to Sturgis and tried to camp out once more, and wound up bailing on that one as well, but different circumstance. Um, I this was before either of my hip replacements, and I could barely keep my motorcycle up on the rough terrain that you had to go over. Keep in mind these are cruiser type motorcycles, so they're not made for going four-wheeling or off-road, I guess, type of thing. So anyway, as getting back to the concert, ZZ Top, I was excited about seeing them because I thought, if they were going to be good anywhere, it would be at Sturgis. And those of you who are musicians, I see quite a few guitars in the background and stuff, will know that it's impossible to be up for every gig. And so I think every band I know of has off days, has days they take off rather. We're a fly-by state, so a lot of times we have people going through, excited to get to wherever they're going on one side or the other of us, and so their shows here tend to be kind of lethargic and basically just call it in. I thought ZZ Top with Sturgis, bikers and stuff being a big core of their audience would put on a fantastic show there, but much to my disappointment, they just called it in. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was definitely lacking in energy and so on. I mean, I guess how many times can you play LaGrange, right? So anyway, between that and the pain of my hip, this was pre-hip replacement and so on, I bailed even before seeing Bob Dylan, and I came back basically thinking I'd never pay that much for a concert. I think my tickets were $80 a piece. Never pay that again, and unfortunately because of the pain, I thought maybe I was done motorcycling hardly much after I had just started. But I went ahead and had hip replacements. If any of you need a hip replacement, I highly recommend them. I've actually had two now, and so that kind of thing would not keep me from going to a concert. And in fact, I've gone to some since then. My third one, and this is in Durango, Colorado. That's probably 400 and somewhere between 400 and 450 miles. But it's way different than going to Sturgis, where Sturgis is wide open spaces between here and there for the most part, and going to Durango, at least the way we chose to go, some pretty tricky passes and some pretty hairy highways and stuff. But it was so much fun, so much fun. We stayed at a old hotel that was historic. If any of you have ever read Louis L'Amour albums or books, we stayed actually in the room where he wrote most of those books. And the person that I wanted to see there is probably one of my secret or not so secret infatuations. Her name is Sue Foley. Maybe you've heard of her, maybe not. She's been around a long time. She is a great blues guitarist, and frankly her voice is kind of controversial. It's a very, what do I want to say, kind of straight, kind of piercing, not shrill, not that way, but it's just really in your face, and some people I know don't like it, but I love It definitely is unique sounding, and she's been a favorite of mine for a long time. So we went there, and Durango has this little steam engine train that goes up to Silverton, Colorado, and they have blues train fests, or I don't know, blues train something or other, that the musicians take over all the cars on the train. Each car is a different act, and Sue Foley was the headliner the year we went. So we were on this train at twilight with Sue Foley playing. It was awesome. Not in my realm of music. I guess for me, I'm going to say Newgrass Revival, although again, I've seen so many different kinds, I don't know what would be outside of my realm. But Newgrass Revival, I'm not a big bluegrass guy, and I didn't know at the time about newgrass, which, you know, is still kind of a subgenre you don't hear much about. But Sam, whatever his name is from Newgrass, and at the time his wife, and Bela Fleck was part of the group then and stuff, they were just absolutely fantastic. And it was another concert where I was working, so I got to mingle with the musicians off stage, and they're some of the nicest people I've ever encountered that way. So that was a great experience for me. All right, I feel like a real YouTuber now. My camera, my phone quit taking pictures, taking a video there, and I don't know what happened. Anyway, we'll see if I can take off here and start up as though nothing happened. I guess first concert was the next one on the list. First concert for me was Tommy James and the Shondells at the Minnesota State Fairground. I must have been still in elementary school then, I think. You know, Hanky Panky, My Baby Does the Hanky Panky, and Crystal Blue, Persuasion and stuff. They really were one of my favorite bands back then, and I have to say I still think they're awfully good. So it was a big treat for a little kid to see them. Last concert I've been to, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say two different bands. And the reason I can bridge them is they were both at the Greeley Blues Fest, but actually were two different years. The first year, I think, was 2015, and it was a band called California Honey Drops, which they're still around. They're still fantastic. I think their lead singer might get my vote as the best voice I've ever heard. It is just so incredibly sweet. They're a fun band, kind of rhythm and blues, soul, funk, somewhere in that genre that I love anyway. So it was a great time. And then the next year was a band called The Burros, which really is the same sort of music. They're a much bigger band. They've got a full horn section and so on. And they're also much younger, whereas Honey Drops are definitely full-fledged adults. The Burros, I think some of them may have still been in University of Colorado at that point in time. Certainly they couldn't have been much out of it. They were very young, but man, they again had the great showman as their frontman, and also a good singer, and the band itself was fantastic. So yeah, I think those were my last concerts I've been at, and certainly some of my favorites as well. Then we got the bonus question: who have you seen the most often? And that definitely goes to Blues Traveler at Red Rocks Amphitheater here in Colorado. On July 4th, Blues Traveler has played, I don't know, maybe 20 years in a row or something like that. So I've been to several July 4th Blues Traveler concerts, and I've seen them a couple times besides that. I am not a jam band guy usually, but maybe I should go to more of them with as much as I enjoy Blues Traveler. Okay, so happy Hippy, happy 100 subs, happy hundreds more, and thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you next video.
We got
Thanks, bye.
fun.